Good day, folks. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Trevor, and I am your one-armed bandit in the bush. We've just recently returned from our 3-week off-grid overland experience out west, and today I am going to give you some feedback on power, how we use the power, and use case on a very particular power device. It would, however, be very amiss of me if we were to talk power and anything electricity, not to think back to my hometown. I grew up in the small little village, maybe 500 families, certainly in the early days. So I have many childhood friends that date back to that time. I recall going to birthday parties as young as the age of 3, forming bonds and friendship in pre-primary school and primary school that have lasted to this very day. So a special bunch of mates of mine called the North Coast Hooligans. This is a shout out to you, to all my buddies that I made throughout high school. It was interesting. Folk that were your opponents during primary school very quickly became teammates during high school, and those bonds and friendships went on to last for many, many, many a year, and to this very day. So guys, shout out to you, shout out to all of you, and thanks again for your support. But back to the power and back to power batteries. We're going to be talking about Energizer. So the same company that make these little fellas that I would be familiar with since my childhood days. However, those things for overlanding, they're kind of useful to power one of these. This is not something that you're really going to be taking with you on your camping trip, because it's the only time you have a true excuse to just kind of let things go a little bit, right? I'm talking about the Energizer 500 or the Energizer Arc5. The Energizer Arc5 is powered by lithium iron phosphate batteries, which means it delivers actually quite a powerful punch for its size. That is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 537.6 watt hours of power. Continuous 500 watt pure sinusoidal at 110. So really good if you're needing to work on that. But, let's just switch this baby on. And as you can see, it actually is on. So first up, this is showing me how much time I have for this battery to run on current load. Current load is 0, as well as its charge percentage, or how much of the battery I have available. So we'll connect up in a moment and show you how all of that works. But the power switch, and switching it back on, just simple. There she comes back up. First up has a LED light up front that is really pretty useful. Gives great illumination. I find that on its lowest setting, just like this, it's good enough to light up the rooftop tent. Of course, it has 2 more settings that are more powerful and brighter than that. It has one USB-C that gives you an effective charge rate at, I believe, or a power output at 60 watts, and then 3 USB-C fast charge ports, which deliver between 5 volts at 2.5 amps and going up to 12 volts at 1.5 amp, depending on what configuration is going to. Of course, 2 AC styled ports that you can connect to as well. The 12 volt cigarette lighter style port does unfortunately not come with a cap, as do the bigger ones. And then the 5.5 millimeters, well, I'm not too sure who uses that other than folk that are still carrying around a 1970s Walkman. The input for your charging is constant through the same configuration male plug, and it all fits down there, whether you are charging with your 12 volt, with your 110, or with your solar. Okay, so as far as form factor goes, I do like the fact that it is really square. It is robust. It's made from solid material. It has a recessed handle. It weighs a mere 12 point something pounds. So it is very light, and therefore it makes it extremely portable. Not to mention durable. No plugs around the back or the sides. Does have fan, at least ventilation space. There's no fan that I've heard coming on this device. So why don't we go in and just maybe power her up a little bit, and I'll just show you the operation of the screen. This is not meant to be a demonstration. Rather, I want to give you feedback on the way this device has worked. So 83, you will see, is the charge rate that is coming in. I will tell you that when we utilize its solar blanket to charge, the one thing that I really do like about the solar blanket, well, first up, its connector is exactly the same in terms of how you would actually get power into the device when you are charging. But this solar blanket really has a little bit more magic than just that. So let me make sure I don't whack the mic here and get into big trouble with the camera lady. But this gives you 3 additional USB ports to charge on here. And we found that we could charge the battery utilizing obviously this blanket, and it would hold constantly between 75 and 85 watts of power that we would, or at least that would be the kind of the effective charge rate we were getting on the battery. This is a 120 watt. As you know, you're going to have obviously power loss on this thing the moment you would add additional devices, and or based on the density of the cord itself that goes to the device to charge. So if this was a nice thick and shorter baby, you'd have less resistance, less loss going to the device. But be that what may, as it worked, as it stands, it really worked extremely well. I like the fact that it is very easy, very simple. Just to get it unclipped, I just need to remember exactly how to do it. It's quite simple. It folds out, and it has obviously Velcro legs that it stands on. This was a very effective solar charging panel. So, you know, I feel that the HyperBoost MPPT technology that is in it, they claim it can charge it in 7 hours. I can tell you that that is absolutely the truth, as we were consistently getting up to 85 watts of effective charge rate. And in fact, this blanket performed significantly better than the 200 watt blanket that I had working on a subsequent purchase and a larger unit. So the use case obviously for this thing was I would have it plugged into the vehicle as we were traveling, and then I would plug the refrigerator into this, as I couldn't get the 12-volt cord all the way through. My MacGyver plan failed because of the way that I had connected it. I'd connected it to an outlet power socket, a 110, and instead of a 12-volt. So I caused the fuse to blow, and that, of course, blew my MacGyver plan. So there we went for the rest, and that was within the first half hour of the trip. So this fella had to kick in. I had the fridge, by the way, running on the refrigerator. Half of it was down at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. On the refrigerator side, we were running at about 34 degrees, I believe I would have had it set at. And I had, unfortunately, in securing the refrigerator to the side of the bed, had accidentally pushed the compressor button, and it changed its mode from running on its efficiency mode to running on its max output mode. So unfortunately, that created a much larger drain. It was sitting in the back cab, so I have a smart cap. It's a black cap. It's a stainless steel cap. It generates a little bit of heat in there. My guess is it was probably on many occasions, at least up to 150 in the back there. Running it on that setting, I only discovered it after a week because I couldn't believe how fast the batteries were draining. And then I sat and monitored and watched just exactly what the charge levels were. And once I had noticed that it was significantly higher than spec, I then checked the compressor level and discovered that that was the case. But yeah, we were 3 weeks off grid with only this 500 watt and 1000 watt, and we managed the entire time. Very high ambient temperatures. So yes, we got good charge off the solar panels. However, at the same time, the refrigerator is working much harder I did dial it back up, but I can tell you that I didn't ever allow the refrigerator to go higher than, I believe it would have been 12 degrees, at least on where I had it set. With ambient, it would go up to about 18 and run in the range of about 15 and 18, even if I had it set down at 12. But it was chewing all the time. I put it into economy mode. It was much better. Then it was peaking at about 46 watts that it was draining off the battery. So between this and the larger battery, we were completely off grid, only had solar. We had numerous days of rain where we could get zero charge, and yet we could keep the batteries on the drone charged, 3 batteries there. We could keep the camera batteries charged. We could keep both of our phones charged. We could keep an iPad charged, a MacBook charged. It's okay. So the list goes on, right? Many, many devices that we are continuously connecting. Certainly stands the test. Would I recommend it? I would absolutely buy it again. Without any doubt, I enjoyed the combination of this with its 120 panel. I find it to be extremely effective. Were I to be going only overland camping, I would certainly buy it again. But do remember that we have no power to charge these devices in the back of the truck, as I hadn't had the opportunity to install that, and I thought the plan that I had intended would work, and it would have worked if I just stuck with pure 12 volt all the way through. So back up to MacGyver plan. This is a wonderful backup to a MacGyver plan. Certainly I recommend a purchase. Thank you for your time and attention. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It would really help in terms of getting this message out and encouraging and inspiring disabled people to live their life. Thank you.